Hi, this is Joseph Tan here from goodmonday.com. Today we're going to talk about hypocrisy, and it's interesting to note that the English word hypocrite has its root meaning in the Greek word hypokrites, which actually means an actor, someone who is portraying a different image. In other words, hypocrisy at the root of it is someone who is demonstrating a double image. What frustrates us and gets us all worked up about dealing with hypocrisy is there is inconsistency. Because this particular person displays a double image, a double perception as an actor. In fact, he or she is very much like a chameleon, fitting into the environment and neither here nor there, and being very shifting in what he says and not meaning what he says and not saying what he means. In a way, the person who is a hypocrite is a constantly changing person, very much like a chameleon, trying to fit into the environment for selfish gain, for protecting his or her own personal good. That's hypocrisy. So the question here is this: how do we deal with hypocrisy? Now, dealing with hypocrisy requires that the person begins to deal with the gap of inconsistency. Now, dealing with the gap of inconsistency requires that there be authenticity, meaning in order to overcome hypocrisy, one needs to be sincere. One needs to demonstrate more authenticity. But how can authenticity be demonstrated? Now, here's a simple step to demonstrate authenticity. Authenticity means a courage not to pretend. So, in dealing with hypocrisy, we need to be able to create an environment or be able to connect with the other person so that the other person rises up above his own selfish view of the world, his own shifting image and perception, so that he continue to look good in all situations, and to bring to the person to a realization that, hey, I think what we need here is not hypocrisy, but the courage to stop pretending. Now, how do we create an environment where there is courage to stop the pretension? Step number one, we must be willing to confront the consequences. Not confronting the person per se and making it personal, but confronting the consequences to show the consequences of living a double image life, to show the consequences of saying what you do not mean and meaning what you do not plan to say in the first place. So we need to confront the consequences and to highlight the gap in the action and the talk. So in other words, there must be a willingness to have that courageous conversations to highlight that gap. Unless you have the courage to confront the consequences, the pretension goes on. Step number two is that we need to set a higher standard. Now, a lot of the times, hypocrisy goes under the radar because we do not set a higher standard for the team. Most of the time, the standards that we set are individual standards. You have your standard and I have my own standard. So if the workplace or the environment that we're in is full of individual standards, then we are actually creating a breeding ground for hypocrisy, because hypocrisy are people with shifting standards. So we need to get the team together and say, hey, we need to set a common higher standard. And when there's a common higher behavioral standard, especially, then we can hold ourselves accountable to the standard, and we have the courage to confront each other if there is any gap between what we say and what we do. Now, once the higher standard is set, then it is up to each individual to set the right example. Because nothing really encourages authenticity than personal, inspiring examples. But personal, inspiring examples will not be possible unless the leaders sit down and we craft out that higher standard. And once that higher standard is in place, then people are liberated to be authentic by setting that personal example. Plus, that standard will also allow us to confront any deviation or negative consequences that comes from people who practice hypocrisy. One thing about courage is this: it needs to be practiced as soon as possible. The longer you delay practicing courage, what you are actually promoting is a state and a culture of compromise. A culture of compromise is the opposite of a culture of courage. And when compromise is practiced not through what you do, but through your inaction of dealing with inconsistencies, then hypocrisy continues to breed. And the standards of performance, the standards of your organization culture, even the standards of your relationship will start to decline as this gap of authenticity begins to widen. Think about it. This is Joseph Tan here from goodmonday.com. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, well, click subscribe. And if you're interested in my coaching and leadership development courses, do check out the website goodmonday.com.